Hey designer friends, and welcome to the visual design step. You're finally here. This is where the magic happens. So congrats for getting to this point. All right, so at this point, you should already have an approval on the visual direction, which you have got in the strategy step. And then you also have the wireframes approved. Now we're gonna use both of these things to put the visual style on the wireframe and get the visual design going on. Now, this step requires the integration of a lot of different skills working together iteratively in this process. This is why we call it magic, because this is not like a definite step-by-step, pick the color blue, then pick this font, right? This is integration of a lot of things coming together. Now, we have in the next module covering all of the different skills in depth, and you can choose whether you want to pause after this video to go dive deep into these skills or finish up all of the process videos and then move down to the skills video. But whatever you do, go through and watch these dive deeps into each one of these skills. And remember, this process is a lifelong journey. Improving on each one of these core fundamental design skills is a lifelong journey. So wherever you are right now, this is the time to start picking up and exercising and practicing those skills. But this is not something that's going to happen in a week. This will happen and this will improve with every project that you're going to go through. So watch these resources, also watch our checklists and all of the other resources that we have to help you go through and improve with each time you're going through this cycle. That being said, I do want to give you some kind of structure to how to make this magic happen and how to work with your clients on this step. After all, our work as designers is to deliver this magic every single time on a deadline. So we have to have some kind of structure into it, and that's why we're here. So the first thing that we want to start with is choosing what we call our basic toolkit. So what are the tools, the graphic tools that we'll use to design? And those basically mean what are the fonts that we will use to put on the website, and what is the color palette that we will use, and what kind of visuals are we going to use? Are we going to use photographs? Are we going to use illustration? What kind of visuals can we mix together? These are basically the toolkits, and then mixing them together in the website is going to create the magic. Now, don't worry if you're going to spend hours looking for the right font or making sure, is this the right color or not? This is an iterative process, meaning just pick something that you think is good for starting, start working on it, and because this is an iterative process, you can always during this step revise and think it through. So don't get stuck. Start with something, pick it, start designing, start working on it, and you will iterate as you go along, and I will show you an example of how this actually looks like. Now, when it comes to the website yourself, do not try to go ahead and design the whole website. Start with something small, and the best way to start is with the homepage hero section. The homepage hero section is there to make a splash, a big impression. It's the first, experience that people get to the website, they see it. So a lot of times it will be very, very impactful, and it will a lot of times include a lot of the ingredients, the visual ingredients of the website itself. And this is very contained. It's just one section, and you can experiment and you can play with it until you figure out what you think looks good. Once you get approval on that, you can continue and extend that design throughout the pages. So this is a collaborative process together with your clients. You want to reduce risk. You don't want to spend lots of time designing the whole website just to show it to the clients at the end. They were like, ooh, I don't think so. So you want to start with something compressed like the hero section, get approval. Do you like the look and feel of that? Are we happy with it? Now let's go and extend it throughout the website. And let me show you an example. So here's a website I did a while ago for a company called OpenMind. And we knew that we wanted an illustration here in general throughout the website, but we didn't know what color scheme, and we didn't even know if we want to put the illustration like this or in kind of a device. We didn't really know. So in this file, you can see me experimenting with a lot of different things, a lot of different layouts, a lot of different color palettes, a lot of different fonts. I'm just playing around. I'm just trying multiple different things. I have, kind of references here that here are some illustration. I like their color. And so I was trying to, maybe I like this pattern. So I was just exploring a lot of different things. And once I think, okay, I think I like this font and I think I like this color palette, let's show it to the client, got some feedback, actually made one more iteration about this. So maybe we don't actually need this gray, let's actually use, white and these shadows. And once we were actually happy, you know what, I'm actually happy with this visual style. And remember, this is like option 15 or something after iterating on this. For a lot, then we decide, okay, now that we're happy, now let's extend this. The decisions that we've made here, which are the color palette, which is the decision to go with flat illustration that has no contours, right? We have defined both the typography, here's the font that we use, here's how buttons look like, and then we can basically reiterate those same decisions. We're gonna have white elements that have drop shadow, and that's how we're going to see them. Now we can reiterate these same concepts again and again in different variation, and we'll have consistency throughout the design. Of course, sometimes we'll need images and stuff like that. Not only illustrations. Sometimes we'll need icons and stuff like that. But you can see that basically most of the decisions were made earlier on. Use on the hero section, and then we basically just expand on top of it. All right, one more thing that you want to consider when doing the visual design is adapting for mobile responsiveness. We go in depth on this topic on the usability skill. However, you want to think about this. There is a debate whether you should start designing from mobile or start designing from desktop. There is no yes, no answer on this. It really depends on the type of website that you're building and who's the audience and where it will most likely be visible. But sometimes it makes sense. But whatever it is, whether you're starting on mobile or starting on desktop, you have to keep in mind when you're considering visuals and layouts and all these types of things, how they will adapt, and make sure that you have solution for both desktop and mobile responsiveness. As I've said, this is an iterative process, both with yourself, you're trying a lot of things and you're changing all the time, but you also want to make sure that to make your clients part of that process. A lot of junior designer mistakes is to think that I need to make all of the decisions because I am the designer, and I will just show them the end result. But that is very, very risky, and this is actually not how professionals work. Professionals collaborate with their clients, and so they show them, they get feedback, and they work together to find the best solution. So one time that you want to show them is obviously after you've designed the hero section, but afterwards, when you finish the homepage, show it, get feedback, and on every different page that you're designing, if there's something you're not sure, asking for feedback is not showing weakness, but it's actually making them part of the process. As I said, this step involves a lot of design skills, and you want to make sure that you practice them and that you improve on them. This is a lifelong journey. We want to be here for you. This first project that you're going to do with us is going to be a great first step, but of course you're not going to end up being a master after one project. This is a lifetime learning, and you can revisit each one of these different skills where you feel like you can use an improvement and get ideas on how to practice these different skills. Now, we also have, one of the skills that we cover is systemizing your design and making sure that it's consistent. But this comes at a later stage. First, you have to figure out what's working. As we said, figure out your toolkit. After you've experimented, after perhaps you've built your first full page and you now understand all of the different components. How do titles look like? How do heading looks like? How do illustration look like? How do photography? Perhaps it's time to create the style guide, and we cover that in the design language skill. But don't worry about that at the first step. First, just start with doing the design. We offer below this video and in our resources files a full-on checklist for all the different things that you should be mindful of when doing the visual design. So I encourage you to review this checklist after you did the design and ask yourself if you think you pass on each of these different criterias, and they will help you step up your game. Once you get approval on the whole visual design, make sure, again, you're getting approval before you move on and start developing the website. But this is a huge, huge milestone that you're completing right now. You finally have a well-designed website to show your clients, and you should celebrate this big milestone.